When you start a brand new grow and you are starting over from seed, it is very important to be able to get seeds from a trusted seed supplier and make sure you're getting your genetics from a reputable source. In this industry, there are more scammers and frauds, fakes that will try to get your money more than any other place I have ever seen. They will set up profiles that look exactly like a main store that is reputable and then reach out to you directly and scam you. So when I say be very wary, very first thing you need to know is that you are shopping with discretion. Awesome. Now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into some of the equipment that we are going to be using when you start your seedling grow from scratch. Personally, again, I use some of the most premium nutrient lines that I can possibly find, or some of the most tried and true methods that I know have been proven to work because I have either tested them or we have ran large experiments. When you are getting your seedlings started, when we go through the entire equipment list for nutrients, you are going to be using great white mycorrhizae. Still have no idea how to say that. This is a trichoderma powder that is going to immediately feed the root right when it sprouts. It is going to make all of the nutrients more readily available, and it is going to bind to that root, making sure that it explodes the moment that it touches this phenomenal powder. We are going to be using Clonex nutrient solution. The Clonex feeding solution has always been full, comprehensive, extremely easy to use, and I've had great results. I like products that are simple, comprehensive, and easy to use. I try to keep things the most simple that I possibly can inside of my own grow. I don't like to overcomplicate things that I don't need to, and Clonex has managed to do that for me. I've taken 3 products and diluted them down to 1 based on the fact that it has all the ingredients in here. Awesome. So we are going to be using CalMag is always a necessity, especially when you're working with RO water. Hey, where did I put my CalMag at? Anyway, sorry about that. We are right back. You are always going to need to use CalMag when using RO or distilled water. If you do not use CalMag, then it will strip it all, like cocoa coir, or peat will strip the calcium, magnesium out of the water that you are using, and it'll absorb it from the plant if it is not there present. So it's either pulling one way or giving. It's pulling giving, but water is going to be very absorbable. It's either going to move towards or it is going to pull it from, depending on if it's saturated or if the object is saturated. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, all right. First up on our list, we have the great white mycorrhizae. Perfect. Second on our list, we have Clonex Clone and Seedling Feeding Solution. Phenomenal product. Third, we have our CalMag. CalMag is going to be a necessity anytime you're working with RO or distilled water. And you are going to need some Jumpstart by Growmore Jumpstart. This has tricontinol in it, which is a natural PGR that's derived from barley meal or alfalfa meal. Tricontinol will help increase cellular division by a rapid amount, so I love using this when it comes to starting seedlings or anything that has to do with stressful days. It's also a vitamin B complex, which heavily reduces the amount of stress that a plant is experiencing, so I never have my plants get stunted out or anything like that. Phenomenal product. Again, is extremely expensive. If you wanted to go with an alternative, then using a seaweed meal or a kelp meal, a liquid seaweed extract is phenomenal. Kelp extracts, really great stuff. So very cheap alternative to this product, but this product is a bit better in my opinion. Perfect. And you will always need a pH meter and ppm meter. And anytime that I start a new batch of seedlings, start a new batch of clones, or I finish a harvest, I always do a full clean and calibration on my meter. That's just to make sure that everything is in the perfect range before we get into some of the more sensitive plants like seedlings and clones. Great time to take care of your equipment is in between harvests. Give it a quick check. I'm not going to be calibrating mine today because I did it yesterday for the full-length YouTube video that I'll be uploading later. But yes, we will be at least giving a demonstration. Awesome. You will need a bag of peat pellets, however many seedlings that you plan to grow. I simply use the Jiffy peat pellets. I did use the U-Grow ones that were inoculated before, but I haven't had better results using premium peat pellets with my own inoculation versus just standard. So I like to go with the cheaper ones and then use premium inoculate, and that manages to balance itself out better than the premium peat pellets that are extremely expensive. Next, we will need cotton pads. You can also use paper towels. The reason that I use cotton pads is because they are a little bit more fluffy. They allow more oxygen into that zone. And if you use a paper towel, just make sure you're not using the super doily ones or any that are scented. things like that. You just want a nice plain cotton paper towel. Perfect. You will need 2 spray bottles. One is going to be for a nutrient solution. The other one is going to be for sterilization. That way we can keep everything cleaned as we move along here. Having a 70% isopropyl is going to be the preferred cleaning solution. Bleach is going to leave a residue for a few days until it breaks down. So things that odorless free, evaporate, cleaning up. All right. You will need measuring cups and measuring spoons. So we have a few different things here. We have one to measure out just 1 to 5 milliliters. We have a 1 liter container along with a 50 milliliter container somewhere up here, but a few different measuring cups. That way we can keep track of exactly what we are going to be putting in from our calcium, magnesium, Clonex, etc. You will need gloves. Again, working in a clean and sterile environment is going to be imperative to being successful. I use black nitro gloves. Any gloves will work as long as they are not sticky. And I have sanitized and wiped down this area before I had sat here and got all this equipment set up today. Again, I recorded a full-length video yesterday where I go through the demonstration of all of this. So I'm not going to be going too in-depth on a few basic factors like making sure you're working in a sterile environment. Just getting a nice clean wipe down before you get started. You will need tweezers or a small pair of clamps in order to get the seedlings out of the solution when it comes time. That way you can transplant them properly and delicately. Let's make sure that I have my tweezers still setting up here somewhere. Let's see. I really thought that I had all this equipment listed out before I started. Here they are. Perfect. So we have a small pair of tweezers that we're going to be picking up our seeds with, and that is going to be great. You will need a seedling tray plus a seedling dome. So clone tray, clone dome. We have ours right here. Perfect. Seedling trays are going to be imperative to hold the pellets in place. You don't want them falling over, your seedlings breaking, anything like that. And if you have to move the dome, you want them to be secure. I like these. They work great. I'm sure an egg carton may work or something similar to that as well. You will need a plastic Ziploc baggie to put the cotton pads in once the seedlings have been started. After we get everything set up, soaked, then that is where we're going to be setting them to root. So a Ziploc bag is going to be a piece of equipment needed on this list, along with RO water or distilled water. I'm using about a gallon here. I have a big bucket full of RO water. My system here at my house brings it down to 5 ppm, so I may need to change my filter soon. That's getting pretty dirty. Just kidding. My tap water is generally coming out at 500 ppm, so it's very nice to have it come from 450, 500, all the way down to 5 to 10. It's a good system. It's really dirty water in my town. Perfect. So we have a full list of the equipment that we are going to be using today. Now that we have that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get the process started here? Again, number one thing that I like to do anytime that I start seedlings, clones, or I'm in between harvests is clean and calibrate my pH and ppm meter. I wipe everything down real nice, and then I go through with a 7.0, a 4.0, and then an EC calibration or a ppm calibration. I make sure that everything is dialed in perfectly. My meter is sitting calibrated and clean from yesterday's session. There are much better videos on how to be able to work your equipment. If it is not something specific to my process, if it is not something that I can uniquely teach, I am going to refer you to the manufacturer's videos. I am not able to compete with multi-billion-dollar companies having social media teams put together their videos for them, so they can teach you a little bit better how to clean and calibrate your equipment than I can. But my system to start the seedlings and what I do on a day-to-day basis is very unique to me. So that is something that I can delve into, and hopefully you gain some of my experience in those areas. Slight difference that we're going to be doing with this channel is, again, if it's unique to my system, I will show it. If it's something that I can't do personally, then I can't put up a tent uniquely. You should just be putting your tent up properly. You should just be cleaning your equipment correctly. I can't teach you how to do it special. Perfect. Let's go ahead and assume that you have your equipment, your meters, clean, calibrated, sanitized, and set up, ready to go for the session. The next thing you are going to want to do is make sure that you have a clean and sterile environment to be working in. I have taken my rubbing alcohol and I have sprayed and wiped down everything within this vicinity except for my dog. I should not have them here when I am doing cannabis plants. I normally don't let my dog in the grow, but hey, for the purpose of the show, I don't want to kick the dog out of their own space just because I'm selfish. Let's go ahead. We have everything clean, calibrated. We have a clean and sterile work environment. Phenomenal. We are set up and we are ready to get started in the seedling process. The very first thing that we're going to do is take a container of water. I generally use at least 1 liter or 1/4 gallon. It's very hard to mix up anything smaller than that. It's very hard for me to pH it. I have concentrated pH that I need to dilute down. So I at least take 1 liter of water here, full of RO. Boom. And once we have our cup set up and ready to go, we are going to be adding 1.25 milliliters of CalMag. So it is going to be 5 milliliters of CalMag per gallon of water. We have 1/4 gallon. 1/4 of that is about 1 milliliter. We have our dropper and our CalMag. It should be coming out between 300 and 400 ppms of CalMag. If you're using a different brand or a powdered form, that's generally the area that I shoot for. 300 is perfect for calcium magnesium being added into the RO water. And let's do that now. I lied. Generally, when I clean everything, the very first thing that I do is I at least put gloves on, and I have not put my gloves on because I cleaned everything prior to this, and then roll the joint. When I was working at Subway at 16, I saw one of the ladies there go to put her glove on, and she to open it up and shove her hand in, and I was like, that cannot be the cleanest way to be able to make my sandwich, is by spitting into your glove before you touch my food. But I do like the fact that it helps put the gloves on extremely quick and easy. And with the amount I'm talking, I'm spitting all over this shit anyway, so don't judge me. Yeah, you get stuck right here and you just like a glove. Am I right? Perfect. So we're gloved up, masked up, everything is clean, calibrated, sanitized. We're ready in our work environment. We have 1 liter of RO water, and we are going to be mixing up 300 milliliters of 300 ppms of CalMag into that, around 3 to 5 milliliters per gallon. Let's go ahead, save this. My dropper that I had sitting up here earlier has now been hidden. I guess I can move things off the table as we use them as well. That won't hurt anything. Just make sure. Perfect. There we are. 1 milliliter per liter of water. I'm actually 200 milliliters short in my liter, so I am going to have to mix up just a small bit more, which is just fine. I'm not ready to go right here. Perfect. Thank you all for joining me. I hope that you're going to have a good lesson, and by the end of this session, you know how to transplant seeds just like Growing Grams does. We'll go ahead and mix things up here. Turn our meter on, we will test it, and we are exactly 400 milliliters or 400 ppms in there with 1 milliliter per gallon, and that is an acceptable range. And as we stir it up, we're actually down to 370. Oh, we're still going down. Let that mix in, let that dissolve a little bit. My water was colder than normal, and that takes a minute longer for things to bind. 360, perfect. Standard amount of CalMag that's going in at 366 for those that like to be exact. Awesome. So we have our CalMag mixed into the solution. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and add our Grow More Jumpstart. Again, this is going to be 1 milliliter per gallon. So you're talking about a 1/4 milliliter per liter of water, which is going to be just drops in the bucket. All right. And I do need my RO water. I like to clean my utensils out before I dip them into anything else. Normally I just dip one, but we got it. That was also my drinking water for the day. So now I need to go get another cup of water. All right, we're adding a 1/4 milliliter per gallon or a 1/4 milliliter per liter. Oh, whoa, this is very full. I just spilled a drop on my foot. That was basically everything I needed. I forgot that this is a brand new bottle. Brand new. All right, and let's see. Right there is my 1/4 milliliter mark. So you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4 drops is what just has been added. If you don't have the ability to measure out a 1/4 milliliter, I know a teaspoon is 5 milliliters, so 1/4 teaspoon is around 1 milliliter, 1.25. So you would need an 1/8 teaspoon going into this right now. Even less than that, half of an 1/8 of a teaspoon, a 16th, which I don't think I've seen a 16th teaspoon. Just drops, a couple drops will do you perfect. All right, we will stir that up, go in and mix it back or test it. My apologies. Let's check. We are 380 ppms, perfect. That 400 mark is great. We want to be sitting right at about 6.0, 5.8 to 6.0 pH is going to be the perfect range. Right now we are at 6.3, so I am still just slightly alkalinic from where I want to be, or I guess higher acidity. I think this is still considered to be acidic. I'm not sure how that scale works. Somebody tell me how that scale works. Is it, if it's still acidic but more or less acidic, is it more alkaline? Is it like a scale that goes that way, or is it considered to just be less acidic? Car Smash, hi. This is my time to be able to practice giving a nice education lesson on how I do my seedlings and how I start everything. But I guess if you work inside of cannabis every day, you do a lot of conversion. Same thing with baking. If you're a baker And I guess bakers and cannabis entrepreneurs have a lot in common, am I right? We're both just baking. Perfect. So we have our solution sitting up here. We'll get this pH down to 6.0. Yesterday, when I added 1 drop of pH down, I managed to get my solution to go from 6.5 down to fucking 4. So I have to make sure that I dilute it this time. I have learned my lesson. Okay, awesome. So it is kind of a scaling thing like that. So if it's 6.5 pH, that's still considered to be acidic, but compared to a 6.0 acidity, it's more alkaline or less alkaline. Cool. Look at me. One day I'll go to school. I can't even say go back to school. I just never fucking went. We have a sophomore level education, but you know what? Oh no, I lied. I got my GED when I was like 24. Holy shit, I forgot about that. I was bored when I was sitting up here and I thought I can go pass a test, so I did. Formal education. Anyway, we'll make sure that we get this pH down here properly, and I have learned my lesson, so I'm going to be diluting it down into my other water solution first. And we have a small measuring cup exactly for this. Dad, why am I such an amateur? I thought I had everything set up. I even wrote down all the equipment I needed, but I took it back into my other grow earlier. Perfect. So we will make sure that we clean our dropper out with a little more R water again. Come into here, grab pH down. That was way too much. I don't know why I did that. You only need drops. Right. Place that back in there, fully empty. Perfect. It's like we're a little mad scientists. So we'll go ahead, dilute our pH down since we're working with such a small solution. One thing that I've learned, I'm not sure that if it's like psychosomatic and I've convinced myself that this is what's happening or if this is what's actually happening. The higher particles per million inside of my nutrient solution, the harder it is to adjust the pH. When I have RO water, it seems like I can just put 1 or 2 drops of pH and dramatically adjust the levels. But I don't know if that salt is adding a buffer towards how much it's adjusting or if I'm just super fucking high every time I mess it up because I'm like, man, it's RO, I better be careful. Haven't figured that part out yet. All right. Oh, let's go ahead and put our meter in here before we even get started. That way we know exactly what we're going to be working with. Wow, look at that. That tiny drop that I put in there, we're at 5.9, the perfect range to be able to get our seedling started. So now that we have 400 particles per million, we have our Jumpstart and our CalMag sitting in here. With the pH, we are sitting at 450. So by the end of this solution, if you are between 4 and 500 ppms, you are in the perfect range. Growing grams approved, baby. All right, we'll get this capped back up. And now that we have our solution ready to start soaking our seeds, what you need to make sure is that you have picked yourself up a premium pack of seeds. One of my favorite places to pick up the best quality genetics has been Neptune Seed Bank. I have used them for years, never had any issues, and recently we have gotten our grow to be phenomenal enough where we were selected to be a genetic tester for their new strain. I don't know anything about this. It literally just says tester code 0917. They sent me 20 seeds and they said, make it look pretty. See what you can do. Tell us if there's a keeper. Let us know how the genetics are. I'm going to be doing a full in-depth everyday review. Each time that I check on these seeds, touch these seeds, you guys are going to know about it. I want to make sure that I show the full process from seed to sesh. We have just recorded our first YouTube video that documents each step that I am showing live here today. That way we have a step-by-step tutorial and a live demonstration. And we are going to be doing all this with Neptune seeds. So thank you guys. Appreciate it again for the seed pack. And if you wanted to go with a cheaper, more affordable, or more commercial, readily available seed bank, Seedman Seeds has always been someplace that I love to get my cannabis seeds. They have great, phenomenal customer service and US distribution. I've used them for years without having any issues. And if you do have an issue, they will be sure to make it right. Plus, anything that you want is always available. Like, the seeds that you get from Neptune Farms, they are going to be releases, as in growers will have a seed drop and it's only available for a month. So there are seeds that I purchased that I will never be able to go back and get, even though I love those strains and those genetics, they're just not available. All right, next step in this process, after you have your solution mixed up, after you have your seeds picked out that you want to get started, we are going to be dropping them into this for 8 to 12 hours. You will start seeing all of the seeds sink to the bottom as the holes become fully saturated. What is the thing around a seed called? Fuck. Anyway, I have learned opening seed containers to be extremely careful. You want to do it on a surface where if anyone falls out, you can find them. I have a rag here for that exact reason. Let's open this up very slowly and make sure we don't lose a bean. Cool. Yesterday I started 19 of them and I saved 1 for this demonstration today. So we will be dropping our seed into the solution and waiting 8 to 12 hours. All right. Do a quick time teleporting jutsu. All right. It's fucking okay. Cool. It's been 8 to 12 hours. All right. Skip myself forward in time here and let's pretend that we have waited 8 to 12 hours. You have seen all of the seeds start to sink to the bottom of the container. When you shake them or you push them down a little bit, they are not buoyant as they used to be. And let's go ahead and see how they have been. All right, all of the seeds. Let me go get my seed pack over here. This is the goal of what we're working towards. I guess I shouldn't skip ahead of myself, but this is what comes with practice. We're not the most professional teacher, but we're free, so fuck off. Let's go ahead. After your seeds have soaked for 8 to 12 hours, they have started sinking to the bottom. The next step is going to be preparing the cotton pads. And again, the reason we use cotton pads instead of paper towels is because they hold a little bit more oxygen inside of the root zone, which is going to drive the osmotic pressure when those tap roots pop out, allowing them to start absorbing the nutrients that we have or shall be adding to make sure that they are readily available. And that's also the reason that we're using the trichoderma found in the mycorrhiza of great white, mycorrhizae. Still have no fucking idea how to say that. Yeah, so the trichoderma inside of this is going to immediately start feeding the roots the moment they show. We are going to be sprinkling some over the top of the seeds as we place them into the cotton pads. All right, we have our spray bottles. One thing that you are going to want to do in an empty spray bottle is take a portion of the seedling nutrient solution that we have mixed up, and you are going to pour that into your spray bottle. As soon as you have it into a spray bottle, just lightly soak the cotton pads. A couple sprays on each side is going to be more than enough. We don't want these fully saturated, dripping wet. Again, we do still want some oxygen inside of that root zone. After your cotton pads are wet, go ahead and take your seeds very carefully. Generally, I strain some of the water first, but since I only have 1 seed here, I'm not worried about losing it. And we will place it directly into our cotton pad. From here, we will take our great white, or if you have another form of inoculant, that would be phenomenal. And I had a small spoon or a small scooper. We are going to be taking just a dab of it. You can roll your seeds in this, you can dip your cotton pads. You want to make sure that you put a small amount in a separate container. Don't contaminate your entire container. And this isn't something that is necessary by any means. I do believe that it just helps strengthen the starting process for the taproots, but it is, again, extremely bougie, completely unnecessary. You can grow seeds just fine without having to use premium inoculant. A bottle of the Jumpstart that we used is about $100 going inside of this, and a bottle of kelp for the same size is $10. So again, kelp is going to be doing something similar, has a lot of cytokines and auxins, cytokinins. I'm completely self-educated, so if I'm butchering all of this, just know it's because I read it out of a book and I told myself that it was a completely different name to help remember it easier. But as I started streaming, I needed to go back and learn the scientific names of the definitions because that's what other people call it. You know, perfect. And I need to make sure that I get my pH capped back here because if that spills, we are going to be in a heap of trouble. All right. The cotton pads have been soaked. The seed has been placed in. We have placed our mycorrhizae over the top of it. And now we have sandwiched the seeds into the cotton pad. From here, we will take a small Ziploc baggie or a Ziploc baggie that will hold the cotton pads or the amount that you have. I never put more than 5 to 10 in a cotton pad. I would say 5 to 8 actually, and I just spread them around in a nice circle. I've had the roots grow over the top of each other and I've broken one before, so I try to avoid that. We will take our water bottle and give your plastic bag a nice spray. Just make sure that it's a little bit humid here. And easy enough, cotton pads are going to go into the plastic bag for anywhere between 12 and 72 hours. Each genetic is different. Every strain that I've grown has a different starting time. Their tap roots, how fast they root is going to be very strain specific, very seed specific. Some strains can even have an extreme amount of diversity inside of them. So once our plastic bag and cotton pads have been prepped with our seeds, so the next thing we are going to do is wait for another 12 to 24 hours. We will check them again. So let's go ahead and do a quick meditation. All right, cool. It's been 12 hours. Let's go ahead and check our seeds. Yep, it's actually been just about exactly 12 hours. I put my seeds inside of these cotton pads at 2 in the morning because I started this whole process yesterday. And when I soaked my seeds, it was like 2 in the afternoon, so I ended up waiting 12 hours. and hit 10 o'clock at night, started doing the next part of the step, and here we are. Yeah, I finished everything at like 2 in the morning. I'm extremely tired. One thing that I have learned from starting seedlings many times is to be extremely careful when opening up the cotton pads, because they do stick to both sides, and I have had them fall out. Or when you take the plastic bag and you try to open it, one of the cotton pads will stick to the top of the plastic bag, and as you open the bag, you will have all of your seedlings fall out into the plastic. So I make sure to keep everything extremely flat here. And while I'm thinking about it, because I closed this bag while opening it, is do not fully seal this sandwich bag that you have put your cotton pads into. Just leave them open, allow a little bit of airflow, a little bit of oxygen, allow it to just naturally evaporate. So we'll go ahead and pin everything down as we open the bag and then slide it out carefully. Awesome. And as we open these cotton pads up here, let's check to see if we have had any of them sprout so far. It looks like in this one we have not. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seeds. Perfect. So my other one should have the 10 seeds, and be very careful putting this back into here. I better have one taproot to show you guys. Last time I did this system, I had a taproot within 12 hours. Nothing. Oh wait, yep, perfect. All right, we've had one of these seeds split open. Awesome. I'm not sure that if I can show it here, but I'll grab my tweezers and be very, very careful. All right. It's like I'm holding children inside of my hands. So I've had these seeds in this. Oh, now it's time to be able to show up there. The seed is cracked. Currently very small, getting ready to go gear. So here within the next 12 hours, we'll put the almost drop. All right, we're going back. We're going to go sit down. Perfect. Here in the next few hours, I would even say, it's possible that I have something ready to transplant, but we're going to go ahead for the sake of this video and continue onward. We have seedlings with tap roots that have been established. We'll pretend that it's been a full 24 hours, and I will move forward with one of the seeds. Let's go ahead here and say that we need to go and, all right, 24 hours, 3 days, taproot has been there. Next thing we are going to do is mix up another set of our nutrient solution, but this time it is going to be for our peat pellets. This is going to be soaking these, that way we have something ready for the taproots to be transplanted into that have a slight amount of nutrients, and is going to be a smaller pot or container. That way we avoid the risk of overwatering, drowning the plants out, or losing the seeds. I just like using seedling starters. It has always been less anxiety, much more effective for me. Oh, what's up, Nice Solaire? Nice to see you, buddy. Welcome to the Cannabis Grow Show. Today is a little bit more of me learning how to be a professor, teaching my methods on starting your seedlings, and showing all the most premium, bougie, quickest possible methods you can to start your garden. This is by no means the most economically effective, but it is my system because I like to start out strong. It's the first time that we've had the chance to sit down and smoke some of the harvest. We rolled a nice joint, and the Max Stomper has your mind flying every time you smoke it. So I'm a little bit all over right now, but hey, we'll slow it down. We'll keep things going. I have to pretend that we have managed to wait 24 hours for the seeds to be fully rooted. All right, after your seedlings have rooted, the next step is going to be preparing a mixture of water to soak our peat pellets in. It'll only need to soak for a few minutes here, but we are going to be doing something very similar. Instead of using Jumpstart, we are going to be using the next solution. We are going to be adding 3 milliliters of CalMag per gallon of water. That is going to be, again, 300 to 400 ppms of CalMag if you're using a powdered form. And we are going to be adding 5 milliliters of Clonex nutrient solution into that as well. By the end of this, we should be between 5 and 700 ppms. If I can stay between 5 and 6, that's a little bit more of a golden ratio, but getting higher isn't going to hurt. I also haven't seen it help. I think less is more. If you're not seeing results, then there's no reason to be spending the money. We're set back up. Beautifully, baby, beautifully. All right, we'll get some of my equipment moved back around here, and we'll talk about the next part of the process that we were at. Can't be touching that anymore. That is going to be a danger zone. One of those cups had water in it, while the other one had my nutrient solution. Okay, the very full one. We know, we're back. With each stream, we get a little bit more professional. We get closer and closer to being an affiliate. We've started to learn how to make some great quality content, and I think this is looking better each week. All right, let's see if I can pick it back up where we left off here, shall we? So we had got into steps 1, cleaning and calibrating. Step 2, cleaning and sanitizing your entire workspace. Step 3, mixing up your nutrient solution to get these seedlings soaked. Step 4, making sure that nutrient solution is pH'd properly. then soaking the seeds for 8 to 12 hours, which we teleported through that time with a jutsu, if you were there for that. The next part of this was placing the seeds into the cotton pad. We had let the seeds soak for the 12 to 24 hours. We start to have seeds cracking, and we saw the hulls splitting where your tap roots were starting to show. And now that I have a camera set up, I could show the seeds a little bit closer here as well. Let's go ahead and do that. And you can see the trichoderma powder that I put on the cotton pads. Bam. Let's see where the camera in here. Boom. So we can see all the seeds here. Right on the seams of some of these, you can start to see them cracking. It's going to be really hard to see on camera, and I'm not rolling them around, but like this little guy right here has the world's tiniest root pulling out the bottom. We're getting there. It's a good sign. It means that we do have germination. Next step in this is we are going to pretend that that tiny tap root is at least a ½ inch, quarter inch long. It is fully showing and it has itself established. As soon as the roots have sprouted, your seedlings do have nice tap roots. We're going to go ahead and start getting the solution made to get our Jiffy pellets. That way we can transplant them. The Jiffy peat pellets are they have a lot more air inside of the root zone. So you have a lot more osmotic pressure. You have the ability to let them dry out a lot faster. You're not at risk of drowning or overwatering your seedlings, and they just seem to be happy as long as you put a little bit of inoculation inside of these and make sure that they are conditioned properly, which is what we're going to do now. Let's get into this. We have one cold foot, one warm foot. So we're going to put this shoe back on, or we're going to take this shoe actually. We don't need zapatos. Ahora. All right, we got CalMag. CalMag is what we're going to be starting with inside of this. That quick stoner moment. Had to remember where I was. ADHD stoner at that. Fuck. We have 2 gallons of water in here, so I'm going to be adding 6 milliliters of CalMag. If I can find my bottle again. Everything got moved around here. You guys see a gallon bottle anywhere? It's under the table because I slid the table. And again, always making sure to clean off our equipment in between with just some nice R water. This water does start to get muddy and mucked up after you've done a few CalMag dips into it and you pH'd it up and down a few times. I like to make sure that I change it out if that starts to happen. Are you sick? So we need 2 of these full. Perfect. And I like that little overhead shot. As long as I'm conscious of that camera, then I can show what's happening right there inside of my bucket, right here inside of this. All right. And to mix it up here, we're just going to shove our full fist inside of it all the way up to the elbow. No, I'm kidding. The only time that happens is when I'm on the receiving end. All right, let's see. Boom. I am 275 ppms, bouncing around there a little bit. So we're gonna add just a few more drops of CalMag, get it up to 300 here. And all right, that should do just fine. I still have my cap solution. Man, I've wasted so much of this. When you have a nice pH probe, you should, I guess with any pH meter, when you have a probe, you should be storing it in probe storage solution. It is an electrically charged solution. If you are using RO water, then you are going to be pulling out the ions from the probe and discharging it and won't be able to read as accurately. I don't remember the exact science. That was perfect. We're at 325. I will take that happily. And that should also be putting our pH down in the perfect range. But I know that the Clone X is going to adjust it just a couple points here as well. So let's go ahead and take our Clone X nutrient solution. And anytime you use any form of mixed nutes, comprehensive nutes, it's best to give them a good shake. Or if they've had anything settle whatsoever, you're good to go. All right. And with this, we're going to be adding 5 milliliters per gallon. Again, I have 2 gallons here, so I'm just going to be adding 10 milliliters. I got my small cup. Perfect. Should set it on a flat surface, make sure that I'm actually doing things properly. Perfect. What's up, Cootie Cootie? Nice to see you. I'm happy to have you back here. You were one of the first people to help make sure I stayed motivated. I can't express my appreciation enough. You are with Professor Grams inside of the kitchen today. We are doing the most bougie premium methods to start your seedlings off. We have seedlings ready to transplant within 12 to 24 hours. And as we get this nutrient solution mixed up here, we can see that our pH has gone down from 6.0 to 5.8, which is still perfect. And we want to be sitting at about 500 ppms. Yeah, baby. 470 is great. We will accept that. 5.8, 5.9, this is a perfect solution. We don't need to add any pH based on the fact my RO water is coming from my system at 8.0 to start with. So we'll go ahead and get everything stored here. And due to the fact I spilt that solution, I need to refill it super quick. One moment. Well, one moment. Well, I really did have it setting out just a moment earlier, and now I can't seem to find the solution. There it is. I sit it behind my PC. Damn. Which one do I blame it on this time? The ADHD or the stoner? Is it a mixture of both? But I was this way before I started smoking weed. I was losing veins probably more often. Damn, alright. Storage cap solution has been refilled. The amount I spill this is fucking absurd. I go through one of these bottles a year, which makes absolutely no sense. You're talking about using 3 to 4 milliliters in here that should last a month at a time. I have 500 milliliters. I should be good to go. That should last me 10 years. Actually, thinking about that is fucking insane. Perfect. Meter will be set off to the side. Our nutrient solution is ready to go. We'll start getting our Jiffy pea pellets soaked here. And for the sake of the show, normally I'd be soaking 20 of these, for that is the seed pack I am starting, but we're going to be soaking 1. And then after another 8 to 12 hours, when all of my seeds have rooted out successfully, I will be transplanting them into the pea pellets and putting them into a dome. But we're at least going to show the whole process during this show. That way you know the growing grams way to get your seeds started in 12 to 24 hours. I do believe that I have found the fastest method, a combination of techniques, to set a world record for the fastest way to start your seeds. Between the blend of trichotinol that I'm using in order to jumpstart the seedling process, all the way down to the trichoderma we're adding to the outside, that way it begins to feed immediately. I really do think that 1, it is at least over the top expensive, but 2, it actually works. Doing this side by side in compared tests, I have cut my seedling germination rate in half, and I have dramatically increased my success rate. I've been hitting consistently 90-95% success rate out of the seed pack. 20 of these are here. If one of them fail, I wouldn't be surprised, but outside of that, yeah, we're talking about like 5%. 19 of these I'm expecting to hit. And I forgot about this. Welcome to the stream, everybody. So now that we're starting another 19 seeds, and these are quite literally called Tester 0917 from Neptune Seed Bank. We won the contest to be a genetic tester for them to start off some of their new genetic lineage, see if it's worth keeping around. We're going to be documenting the whole process and seeing how these babies perform, but they literally don't have a name. So I am going to need everyone to pick a number out. I am going to number each one of these seedlings as I put them into the tray tomorrow. And everyone who picked a number, we will be picking your plant and you will be following it along as it goes. Last time I had just picked a plant for everybody. This time everybody will get to pick their own. You can pick your favorite number 1 through 20. You can not pick any number whatsoever and say, I don't want to be a part of your silly little games. Get the fuck out my face. And then we get in a fist fight. Whoever wins gets their dick sucked. It's a whole thing. All right, let's go ahead and check our pea pellet. We'll move back in over here and we'll see how things are going over the camera side of life. As we can see, it's nearly doubled in size, but it's still rock hard in the middle. So we'll go ahead and start soaking that. Grow, grow, grow. And in the meantime, this is a great time to make sure that you have your seedling tray prepared and fully sanitized plus dried off. I do like to use these small holders. They do make it very nice to transplant, but if you don't have these, there are a lot of ways to make sure they stay safe. But we use a seedling tray, seedling holders, plus a clone dome. Dome tray, everything else, pretty standard setup. Appreciate it, right? Tis indeed. I don't know though, you were literally a ninja. I don't think I can win that fight. Beautiful. I want to have a seedling starting contest with somebody to see if we bought the same pack of seeds, who can have more success with them. Like, let's do a 6-month grow off and see, like start to finish, seedling to smoke, not even just harvest, but at the end of the 6 months, you have to be ready to have a joint in a line of contestants' hands. We did the exact same mother plant, or we did the exact same seed pack, and we just grow off for 6 months, baby. Let's fucking go. All right. Let's see. It's been a couple minutes here. This thing is now fully soft. It's looking much, much better. We take a peek under the hand cam. Is that what I should call this? A full view table cam? All right. Yeah. Okay. We're done with that. Ladies and gentlemen, my joint has successfully gone out. It's getting to the point where it's so resiny I can't keep it lit. One hand is wet, and that is not going to be a viable system. As we get things used, we will get them set off to the side here. Don't judge me for the way I have to seal this solution. I lose caps constantly to things. Into the void they go. But hey, if it works. All right, next step in this process is going to be preparing our seedling and clone tray. We'll grab one of these bad boys, and a tray. More puff. Need that. Awesome. Well, right back to where you were, because I know it's clean. And after just a couple minutes here, nice. This thing is fully soaked. I think it's literally just been like 3 minutes here. They just swell up to be a couple inches tall. They get fully soft all the way through them. They're nice, mushy, real easy to work with. We will take all of our Jiffy pellets that have been soaked in Clonac and CalMag. So these have been conditioned properly to make sure they don't leach any of the nutrients from the new seedling. And our seedlings have been coated in trichoderma, one thing that I like to do. So we make sure that we come through here with a small toothpick, stick. You can use the tweezers that we used earlier to take the seedlings out of the nutrient solution and just make a nice hole halfway down into this. So you're talking about a 1/4 inch is about what I have that I'm poking down into it. So not even halfway in, about a 1/4 of the way in, but I am covering the seedlings with a 1/4 inch at least. I mean, you're talking just a nice tiny amount. My stick up to here, so my roots will touch the bottom. My top of the seed will be like right here on my stick, and then yeah, very small amount of soil going over the top. There's always debate inside of the grow community of how far to plant your seeds down into the medium. I suppose it depends on what type of medium you are using, how dense, hard it is. If you're in clay, I'd probably just set it on top of the clay. If you're in cocoa, you can probably go pretty far deep into it because it's extremely soft. Same thing with peat, but I don't like to make the plants work for it. We're here to give them a spot in. Awesome. We have our peat pellets set up. We have our seedlings that have theoretically been sitting here for 24 hours. Again, I finished at 2 in the morning, so it's been closer to 12 hours. Being very careful when we split our pads open because they will stick to either side of this. And we will find a seedling that at least has some root showing. You guys probably won't be able to see it, but right on the very tip of this pointing downwards, I can at least see which direction that root is starting to teeth and pop out. I'm going to make sure that I point the root straight downwards into this. Boop, set it down in there nice and carefully, cover it up, perfect. And from here, we will take our water solution, that same nutrient solution that we had earlier. That one has the tricontinol in it, and we don't want to oversaturate things in that before I lose these beans and throw them all over the place. Let me close this back up, set it down properly, and put it back in its plastic bag. All right, very carefully here. Perfect, perfect. We did check both pads earlier, and neither one of them had full roots yet, which is perfectly fine. Again, it's only been about 14 hours. It can take 24 to 36. We'll go ahead and mist this bag because I did not get it very wet the last time, so just making sure that those stay nice and damp without being sopping wet is going to be key. And the same water, I always go back in and give these seedlings one spray on the top. That way I make sure all of the peat or soil, the medium, is fully surrounding the seed. It is going to rinse down, hug it, encase it. I'm not going to have an air pocket around there. And if you try to pour water on top of it, you risk flushing the seed out, having it rinse to the top, or losing it somewhere inside of the medium. Very important to be watering with a spray bottle. After we have all of our peat pellets filled, all of our seedlings set into the seed tray, next thing that we are going to do is come into our dome. And I live in Arizona. It's extremely dry 90% of the time. If you have a room that is sitting between 60%, 50% humidity, this isn't as important. When it's 10-15% consistently where I live, extremely important to create your own microclimate. And I'm going to be setting this directly in my mother tent. It goes under my veg light. It can sit when you compare the sunlight compared to most people's grow lights. I'm not worried about using a slightly more powerful light than a fluorescent bulb or the T5s that you'll see, the long fluorescents. I don't use those anymore. I just simply use the same light that I do for my mother plants or my vegging plants, and I keep these a little bit lower than the canopy height. They do fantastic. The room does stay between 70 and 80 degrees permanently, so I like to make sure that my seedlings stay warm. If your closet, room, or bathroom are getting cold where you keep your seedlings, they do have seedling warming mats. The seedling trays are meant for that exact reason. It's not so much the outside temperature that affects plants, it's the root zone temperature. So if your root zone is staying warm, plants can be in freezing temperatures and survive. But if you have a cold environment, if they're on a cold countertop, getting yourself a warming mat for the seedlings, phenomenal. If not, making sure they stay in a nice warm climate controlled environment. Capping these off, now we have a microclimate where this is going to be sitting upwards of 80% humidity. And yeah, over the next 24 to 48 hours, I will be taking pictures of all of the seedlings as they sprout out. I will be heavily documenting this process. Again, it is a contest winner for Neptune Seed Bank Genetics to be able to test their new line, their new strains out, and see what we're going to be working with. I will have a Discord group. The Discord group, I'll have the contest set up where everyone will be able to pick a number as soon as I have these sprouted. If you pick a seedling that dies, then that is on you. Not every seedling is going to make it. But we have 1 through 20 ready to go, and I appreciate you guys being here with me. We have pretended that that seed soaked for the 2 hours. I have one of these in this bag, so this one will be mine because it wasn't treated fairly or the same as everybody else's, and that is okay. All right, one of the most important things that I need to make sure I do every time as I finish up with a session is get everything cleaned up, packed up, and put away as I've finished using it. Otherwise, I lose it, as you've seen multiple times on this goddamn stream. All right. Let's go ahead and get this moved. This is one of the reasons that I like using the seedling trays as well, is because I've moved my domes around so often that I've had these things roll around like bowling pins in here, and I lose which strains are which. If you need to use plant tags to keep track of different genetics, then make sure you do so. I always just add a little bit of duct tape on the outside of the seedling tray for each column if they are different, but that's me personally. Now, I do keep the seedlings under 24/7 light, so during the day my grow is turned off. I will move them into a windowsill just to make sure they are retaining that sunlight, and then at nighttime put them back into the grow tent underneath my grow lights where they will sit for 18 hours. But for 6 hours during the day, they need to be able to at least get some shaded light somewhere where they're going to stay warm. From there, you have successfully started your seedlings the same way that Growing Graham has. In all, it has taken me just over an hour to be able to show you my entire process. I will have 2 videos that I am posting this week to my YouTube, so stay tuned in the Discord channel where I will upload the first links and I'll post it on all my social medias being like, look what I fucking managed to do. Because I spent like 18 hours yesterday recording the seedling video, showing each step, every process, making an equipment list, links to all the equipment, all that kind of stuff. And then today I wanted to do a live demonstration of the entire process start to finish. So I have a professional recording and a nice edit to be able to show this along with this session. Thank you guys for joining me and making it fun, a little bit more entertaining, all of that good stuff. This has been great. I think I can actually chill out and smoke a little bit. Focus on chat, see what you guys have gotten back. How the hell is it that right when I start talking, someone leaves? All right, you know what? I'm just kidding.